Hey everybody, Caskey Live, Bill Caskey here. Glad you're with me. I'm glad to be with you today. We're going to talk about how do you command a premium price in a commodity market. That's really what this was all about, this book that I wrote here a couple of years ago. It's not a book, it's a pamphlet, we'll say. But it was all about that because I found that a lot of companies and individuals were struggling to command a premium because of the discounting and the commodity nature of a lot of markets. And so I wrote this, and I want to talk about that today. 3 days ago, we talked about the first three. A couple of days ago, we talked about the second three. Today, I'm going to get hopefully to the last four. There are 10 total, but I want to get to the last four. If you have a comment, make sure you comment. We're on YouTube and LinkedIn today. And we're getting a lot of good viewers after the fact. Don't get a whole lot live, but that's cool. I want you to get this information. A couple of programming notes, as we say in the business. No, we don't say that in the business. And that is Friday. I'm going to be doing a special program on the fear of success for sales professionals and business owners. And I think it's a I don't know if it's a problem, but it's something that we have to pay attention to because a lot of what we don't do, I think, is a part of that fear of success, fear of standing out. So we're going to talk about that. I've got some ideas on it. It's not really anything I'm going to give you the instruction on how to get out of it because I think it's more complex than that. But I think if we understand it, become mindful of it, it's better for all of us. So that will be on Friday. So make sure you stay tuned. This broadcast, of course, always brought to you by the $1 Million Seller. If you are a sales professional today and you're in this mode of trying to grow your business and you want to change and reinvent yourself and use the art of leveraging your assets that you have built up, most of you do not leverage your assets well enough. You have them. It's not a matter of going and getting more assets. It's a matter of using what you have. Assets like your problem-solving ability, your skills, your capabilities, your frameworks for success, your email list, your technology. I don't have my phone. Yeah, here it is, technology. You just don't leverage this enough. Cameras, microphones. So we're going to get into that. The tuition for that is $297 for 12 weeks. It's a 12-week program. There's coaching with it. You should go to billcaskey.milliondollarseller. I'm sorry, billcaskey.com/$1 Million Seller. You can see it there. You ought to at least take a look at it. If you don't want to do it, that's great, but I think you should look at it. Okay, so programming notes, and then we're ready to go here. So if you're in a business where you sometimes get beat down on price, or it's not only getting beat down on price, it's the customer or the prospect decides to do nothing. You go through this long, laborious sales process, and then at the very end, they say, "No, we're going to hold off, and we're going to stay put." Whatever they say, we're going to keep buying from our miserable vendor that we hate, and that it brings us no value, but or it's not ready to move right now. It's probably because you positioned your value in the wrong way. You didn't command a premium. You didn't command a compelling change. So let's talk about we did 1 through 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. We did 1 through 6. Now let's do 7. And let me pull it up on screen here. Number 7 is economics always. And what I say there is that we have to understand the economics of the customer's business, because when a customer makes a decision to change you, vendors from somebody else to you, there's always an economic impact. And I don't think we spend enough time on economics. I know we don't. I know I don't. And I know to do it, and I still don't do it. Sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation. The conversation typically is, what's it cost you not to change? It's really the essence of the economics discussion, is what is the cost that you will incur, you prospect, Mr. Prospect, Miss Prospect, if you decide not to change, if you decide to stay the same. If you pay no price to stay the same, then you should stay the same. And I have said this before to people, when someone starts to, argue and negotiate about price, I always say, why are you doing anything? Why are you considering buying from me or buying anything or engaging any consultant or coach? Why don't you just stay the course? And they will then say, well, we can't stay the course. Well, what's the cost if you stay the course? You should be comparing the cost of staying the course to the cost of the course, of the new course of action. If you're not if you're not covering both of those, you're not talking about the full economics equation. And I know that's hard for sales professionals and amateur salespeople to do, is have that economics conversation. So if you're selling, let's say you're selling telecom gear, software, service, blah, 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 and it's a $500,000 install. Well, at some point during the sales process, you had better be talking about the economic value of that 500 grand, because it's got to be more than 500 grand. Your prospect's not going to trade dollars. I can save 500 grand over 10 years by spending 500 grand. People aren't going to do that unless there's other things. And if there's other things, then I want to know the economics of those other things. Comment below. Yeah, I'll say we got some comments here. I want to make sure. Okay, Mike Black. Morning, Bill. Yeah. Oh, is my microphone off? Oh, Mike Black. That's funny. I mentioned Mike Black. He's a frequent listener and past client friend. And I mentioned him yesterday, and he says he's just swamped with all the business. So economics is the idea that we want to always be open to the conversation where we talk about the cost of doing nothing versus the cost of change. If you're not having that conversation with prospects, it will be hard for you to command a premium, because it will always get down to price, because you haven't raised the issue of economics. Remember, economics is not price. Price is a subset of economics, but economics is the cost of the problem versus the cost of the solution, the cost of staying the same versus the cost of changing and improving. So make sure you're having those conversations with people. And this is a reminder. I know a lot of you say, oh, shit, Bill, I already do that. Okay. I bet you don't do it to the extent you could. I bet there's another level of that. I've got a client who is in the dental business, and they sell equipment and operatories and remodel. They sell all those things. And this person is one of the best sales people of this large company. And they always talk about the economics with the doctor. So when the doctor says, I'm thinking about buying a new operatory, which is kind of the whole setup of a room, how much is it? And my client, who sells for them, says, well, it all depends. Let's talk about what the issues are first. Let's talk about the economics of the entire package, what you're trying to accomplish. What's the goal? Well, each operatory is a $500,000 a year revenue center, and we generate $350,000 a year profit from each room. And so I want to build out one here in the next 6 months. Okay, well, now the salesperson knows a little bit about the economic payoff for that. Now, when they start talking about price, they're going to be much more comfortable. So if the operatory, I don't know what they are, 250, I don't know, $1 million, 10 million, I don't know what they are, but you always want to be comparing the cost of the solution to the cost of the problem. And most people don't do that. It's a big miss. It's a big miss. Commanding a premium, this is a critical element. Should be number 1, but it's number 7. Everything can't be number 1. Number 8, I want you to build your personal brand. Oh, God, Bill, here you go talking about personal branding again. I'm telling you, I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't want to hear it. But I was watching a YouTuber the other day talk about this very topic. And he says, my personal brand, he wasn't like a Mr. Beast YouTuber. He was a modest, but he's been on YouTube for a couple of years. And he said, the opportunities that are coming to me are just incredible because I do something every day. He didn't start every day, but he's doing something every day. He's publishing something. I'm going live every day. Every couple of days, we get a call from somebody who says, hey, I like this. Let's work something. Let's try to figure out a way to work together so you can bring help to my people. This works. Personal branding works. Why aren't you doing it? Are you self-conscious? Do you have to have certainty when you do something? You have to guarantee a result. I can't guarantee you a result. I can guarantee you a result if you don't do it, and that is you won't grow. You won't scale. You won't have opportunities coming to you. You'll have to go out and literally chop down trees to make progress in your business. And you're better than that. So I don't understand why you don't do it. Now, what does that mean, personal brand? Well, it means be a person of influence. have influence in the marketplace. I'm not talking about being an Instagram influencer. I'm talking about, are you creating anything that would cause someone to say, hey, you know what? I like the way Johnny come lately here. I like the way he does his programs, and I really like what he says here. I wonder what else he has. They don't say, oh, I got to call him and give him a lot of money. They don't say that. Nobody says that. I talked to a client yesterday, and we've been working with them for about a year now. And the way it started was a YouTube video, followed by an email, followed by they downloaded something. She downloaded something from our website. I can't remember what it was, followed by a conversation, followed by more conversations. It took a while. But if I hadn't had those YouTube videos up, in fact, it was on this exact topic, come to think of it. She doesn't ever recognize that I exist. I don't walk the planet Earth to her. So why aren't you building your personal brand? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? If you can't do it on your own, pay somebody to help you. Pay Mike Black. Pay somebody who's in the digital marketing, advertising, design, branding space. Pay somebody. You'll have to pay them, a lot of money, but depends on what it's worth to you. Whoops. But start with just something simple. Start with a live stream on LinkedIn. Start with something. You know a lot of stuff. It's time you get that out in the marketplace. Okay, number 9. Number 9 is message fluency. Are you fluent at communicating your message? We think we're more fluent than we are. I was talking to a guy who's a private equity guy, and he gives money and organizes, restructures loans and invests in companies. And I said, well, when you go to these investment fairs or these places where, people are lining up to pitch their service or their company to you for investment, what's the biggest challenge? He says, I'll tell you exactly what it is. He says, they have no idea what they do. I said, what do you mean? He said, they have no idea. They think they're in this business, but really they're not in that business. They're in another entirely different business. And they can't articulate it. They can't communicate the value. And I'm telling you, we do this $1 Million Seller program. Before we even did it, I went through and looked at what's the transformation. What transformation do I want people to have as a result of going through this program? This is not a pitch for the program. I'm just telling you what I do, that you should do a similar thing. So if you are selling accounting services, or you're selling operatories, or you're selling whatever you're representing, and this goes for CEOs, business owners too. This is not just salespeople. What kind of transformation are you looking to make in the customer's life? Is it in writing somewhere? Is it in a Google Doc like this? Do you have, what is it? What could be the meaning of it? What's the transformation that they will experience? What's the offer? How does the offer work? And by offer, I mean they buy. What do they get? What do they get? They get you forever? Do they get you 3 hours a month? Do they get a digital exercise? Do they get 17 people showing up at their doorstep to orient and acclimate and implement? What do they get? That's your offer. If you don't have it committed in writing, and most people don't. I was talking with a lady the other day who's in one of our other programs, and she just started, and I said, what's the main offer? Well, it's consulting. Okay, well, what does it look like, sound like, feel like, taste like, touch like? Well, I don't have it written down anywhere. Well, you're struggling to sell something and you haven't even written down what the offer is, what they get from you, what they can expect, what you expect from them, what the guarantee is, what the investment is, what the payoff is. You don't have any of that written down? She said, I guess I need to write it down, huh? I said, yeah, I guess you do. How do you expect to sell something to someone when you don't know what it is? I was nice to her. I wasn't yelling at her like I'm yelling at you. But that's number 9, is you've got to be fluent in your message. And one way to be fluent in the message is to understand your offer. If you look at, I don't have, well, I'm not going to draw it. In the $1 Million Seller program, we talk a lot about leverage, but you can't leverage something you don't know what it is. So you have to identify things. And one of the 3 foundational elements is what your offer and how do you communicate it. And it's huge. It's huge. So where is the transformation that your customer gets when they work with you? If you haven't thought about that, then you can't articulate it. If you can't articulate it, what makes you think they're going to buy it? Is buying on your good looks and charm and voice, tonal quality, voice quality, the clothes you wear, the vests you wear. Really into vests lately. I like these. Anyway, the zipper doesn't work very well. Anyway, let's go to number 10 here, and let's go down to number 10. And number 10 is, what is number 10? Customer ecosystem. So hard to command a premium if you don't know what the buying system is at your customer's office, plant, institution, corporate. You don't know the environment. You don't know who reports to whom. You don't know who makes the ultimate decision, who's influencing the decision. I just want to know all that if I can. And it's hard to know. And it's an uncomfortable question to ask. One easy way to ask it is, look, I don't know if we're going to end up working together or not, because I don't know what your issues are yet. But tell me, inside your company, what typically happens when you get ready to purchase or go down this road with somebody? Who gets involved? Who doesn't? Who stays out of it? Who comes in at the end? Tell me about it. And people generally will tell you if you frame it in the right way. But I can't tell you how many times I have worked with sales professionals who don't ask that question, and they get down to the end and they were never talking to the right person. Never. And if you're not talking to the right person, it's unlikely you're going to get the deal, unless the person you are talking to is really good at selling you inside the company. I've had cases where that occurs, where they're really good. They have a budget and they have a mission and they're really good at that. I'd say 80% of the time you don't have that. It's more somebody comes to you, wants information to take it to somebody else. They blop it on their desk, plop it on their desk, and that's it. Well, yeah, that's not good. So all your value gets plopped on somebody's desk, and it's no interpretation. It's not fluent at all. So I want you to understand the customer ecosystem, because I think that's going to make a big difference. If you comment, we'd love to have a comment, or on Facebook today. We're actually on Facebook today. Mark Zuckerberg called and said, "Why aren't you running on Facebook? On Meta, I'm sorry." I said, "Well, I don't know. We should be." So I called all my producers up and I said, "Hey, we got to get on Facebook." So we're on there today. Okay, recap today. For those of you who are following this, number 1 or number 7, I want to always talk about economics. If you're not, you're missing an opportunity. Number 2, I want to talk to you about your personal brand. You have to be building your personal brand. You are incomparable. They can't compare you to anybody else. I've told you this story. I'm not going to tell it again, but I've got clients who are using personal branding to get in front of people, and then they're using personal branding in the videos they send throughout the sales process. And they get to the end of the sales process, and it's a no-brainer. Customers not even looking anywhere else because they feel so comfortable. You're a known quantity, versus signing up for some marketing information and all you get are bots. All you get is marketing BS. Why would you do that? You want to do business with people who you know, you like them, you trust them, you can understand them. They show up digitally or physically, and that's where your personal brand can really come in. Number 9, message fluency. You got to get super clear on your message. Where is the value? How do you communicate the value? Do you communicate it by bragging about how great you are? Hope not. Or do you communicate it by telling stories and sharing how other people have used you? And number 10, the customer ecosystem. Critical that you're calling on the right people. Okay, once again, tomorrow, I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, but it'll be exciting. I can promise you that. It'll be joyful. Friday, then, we're going to do the fear of success. So I want to make sure you're on for that. Fear of Success Friday at 8:30. I will see you tomorrow, and hopefully you got a lot out of today. There was a lot here. These last 3 days, I've learned something, and I wrote the stuff. But there's 10 elements here. Just make sure, use it as a checklist. Make sure you're doing those things.